Start it up.
Oh, what's up? Nowstalgia Pod coming at you with your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Patrick Sheehan. I am here with my co-host Dave Martinson. Dave, what a sad day, man.
Not good, man.
Obviously the most overused line when it comes to any kind of tragedy is T's and P's. But as a podcast who has no real power over gun regulation, I guess really at this point, really thoughts and prayers and
Indeed.
Just hoping for the best of everybody in Las Vegas. And then I come out of work this afternoon and I had like 10 texts from my family and friends telling me Tom Petty has died, age 66. Now, since the report was made, TMZ and CBS News have retracted the statements, or not retracted, but clarified, saying he's not dead, but he's clinging on to life. But it doesn't look good for
cardiac arrest. Yeah, not good at all. You know, it's nuts because like Tom Petty never had like the reputation as being like a huge party or druggy guy. Like, you know, he's a little younger. He kind of missed like the Rolling Stones generation. Like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, and those guys are still kicking just fine. And it's always so strange to me that those guys that like beat the shit out of themselves always make it out, are still kicking. And you know, like Prince, you know, I mean, he did some drugs, but he died pretty young too, and David Bowie. So
it's interesting because we were talking, I think the last couple of weeks, was Dave Grohl as like the ambassador of rock now, but just how like the Killers are also like a huge rock band right now. Tom Petty just finished up a North American tour, and I mean, that guy, he was legitimately like a rock god. I mean, I was listening to some of the songs on the way home from work today, and that guy, his range was from these wonderful, like low-key songs with a lot of meaning, like Wildflowers, and then he had those crazy hits like Running Down a Dream, where it was just like straight rock. And I actually had the privilege to see him live in concert back in 2013 at the first Firefly I went to. And man, his band was fucking tight. He was rocking it, and he told some of the best stories. It was one of my favorite concerts of the weekend. And just, you know, if this is it for Tom Petty, which it looks like it might be, a huge loss to the rock community and just to the music community in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite Tom Petty song, Dave?
Yeah, it's probably Run Down a Dream. Free Falling's really good too. But you know, they're his big, most popular smash hits for a reason. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Wildflowers is horribly underrated, even though it's still one of his most well-known songs. But it's just a beautiful song in general. Why don't we jump though to some happier news? True Love has Travis Scott and Kylie Jenner. They're in love and they're having a baby.
Man, Tyga was dating her for how long? couldn't do what he needed to do, and then Travis Scott's there not 5 months, and as he said on that one song recently, just let me come inside you. Well, hey, he did.
A little too literal.
Too literal.
I mean, I feel I don't really keep up with the Kardashians. I should probably watch a TV show.
Not necessary.
Although I gotta say, with OJ being released, if he's gonna be on their show, I actually might tune in.
Oh wow! You know, Kris Jenner will think about it, so it's in play.
She is, dude. Kris Jenner is playing like 3-dimensional chess while we're all playing checkers.
Oh yeah, I mean, they haven't even made an official statement about the Kylie Travis stuff because they're waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect moment,
perfect plan.
Hey, whatever.
But an interesting thing. So Kylie's pregnant right now. Doesn't Kim have a surrogate at the moment?
Correct.
For their third child.
Yeah, they officially announced that. So more Yeezy babies. That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's I just like to. I don't know how SNL hasn't done this skit, but Kanye at a fertility clinic, like. I feel like that would be an awesome SNL skit. Get Jay Farrow back for that.
I will say I watched the SNL cold open for the season start this past week, and Trump, Alec Baldwin is Trump,
Alec Baldwin,
Kate McKinnon is Jeff Sessions, and whoever they have playing Chuck Schumer at the end. That was hilarious. Like I was dying.
Kate McKinnon as Jeff Sessions is my favorite take on any like political figure right now. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, like she did Angela Merkel on Weekend Update later on, but Sessions was just so much better.
No, yeah, that the new SNL actually, I stayed up for the first half. It was pretty good, and then it looks like Weekend Update actually was pretty good as well. So maybe this is gonna be a strong year for them. But speaking of actual true love, Jon Snow and Ygritte in real life. I mean,
going down to the ice cave for the rest of their lives.
The Lord's kiss. Yeah,
that's cool. And they've been dating a while, so good for them.
Yeah, so it's Kit Harington and what's her name?
Rose Leslie.
Rose Leslie.
British actress, surprise.
Yeah.
Like all of Thrones.
Yeah. So I watched the other day 7 Days in Hell, the HD movie. No, it's the Andy Samberg.
Oh yes, yeah. I saw that. That's funny.
About tennis.
Yeah.
Fucking Kit Harington is so good as like just a dunce in that.
Yep.
It was fucking great. Also, Bill Simmons did a great podcast with Samberg recently. It's really worth it.
Yes. Yeah. He's got great perspective. I still haven't seen Tour de Pharmacy. I'd like to watch that.
Oh, it's hilarious. Fucking John Cena in that movie. Just once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he's fucking great. So yeah, and just before we jump into a lot of TV and music today, Blade Runner has mostly favorable reviews. So Dave, fill us in. What's it looking like for Blade Runner right now?
Oh, I actually forgot the exact figures. It's like it's a high 96%.
95
on Rotten Tomatoes. Overwhelmingly positive reviews from everyone, which is great to hear because this is directed by one of our favorite directors, Denis Villeneuve, and stars Ryan Gosling, and of course returning Harrison Ford, and Jared Leto's in there as well. So this is great news. This comes out this weekend. Should be the #1 movie at the box office, no doubt, and we'll be talking about it next week.
Yep, definitely. I'm definitely going to see this weekend. So we will. I'll be able to talk about a movie for once. That'll be nice. So why don't we jump into a couple of TV news and notes, just things that have started up, things that are wrapping up. Rick and Morty. Season 3, episode 10 came out, so that means it was a season finale. I did not get to watch it yet, but overall, this show is just phenomenal, really good all the time. Nothing else really to say about it. Just if you haven't caught up, you can catch up on Hulu, or I believe you can go on to the Adult Swim app if you have cable and watch all of them, or just go online and watch them. Also, Curb Your Enthusiasm came back.
Right, season 9. Right,
and Vice Principals has been back, and we haven't had a chance to watch that yet. But Curb, I've made time to watch last night. Larry David's he's just such a crude, blunt old man, and I love it. Yeah. And there was a scene with him, Leon, and this lesbian barber last night where they were telling her that she's not the bride, that she's the groom, and her spouse or fiance is the bride, and I was literally crying. It was so fucking funny. So he hasn't lost a step. Larry David's just always Larry David. I think just him being him is funny. So why don't we talk about the Deuce though? Curb is a known quantity. Rick and Morty is a known quantity. The Deuce, all we know is it's coming from David Simon, that James Franco and Maggie Gyllenhaal are in it. After that, it's a lot of we're not really sure. So Dave, I mean, I know we've each seen 3 episodes. We did not see the newest one last night, but what's your take on this show so far?
Yeah, I think it's really strong. I mean, as you said, David Simon and his frequent collaborator George Pelecanos, they're always known for their great writing and just strong show writing in general, and it really shines because the Deuce really takes you back to 1971 Times Square in New York City, and as you watch the show, it's only a mini series, it's only 8 episodes, but we've seen 3 of the 8 so far, and it really shows you and teaches you how that ecosystem of prostitution worked back then, and as the porn industry rose out of that. And it's just we'll put it, it's a show about selling sex, but the show itself is more interested in the selling than the sex, which is it's excellent. It's not just tits and dragons, as Ian McShane would explain Game of Thrones. So it's not gratuitous close-ups of the sex. In fact, this is not even glamorous. exactly. It's about everything else, and I think that's what makes it so great. And then obviously they got great talent and they're working on a great script, so there's just so much to like.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said. David Simon, one of the things he does so well in his shows, and I think we talked a little bit about this, maybe when you were talking on watching Show Me a Hero. I think you mentioned it quick.
Mm-hmm.
He just does
Yes.
such great character exploration.
Yep.
One of the ones I think I've been most fascinated by has been Maggie Gyllenhaal's character Candy, and
Definitely.
how she's this like veteran hooker basically, but or prostitute. But on the flip side of her life, she's this mom whose mother is raising her child, and or is that her mother? I guess I'm not
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
sure if it
I
is.
think it is. Yeah.
Like how she's then using that situation to propel her into more moving forward. Just really interesting. One of the things we talked about with Fargo season 3 was how Ewan McGregor was playing twins, and we didn't really like that call. How do you feel about Franco playing Frank and Vinny Martino?
Yeah. I think. See, it's interesting because the Ewan McGregor characters in Fargo season 3 definitely felt distinct. They had physical differences that are very noticeable, but they also felt different. But I don't know, it seemed a little more gimmicky there. But I think it's working
Mm-hmm.
in the Deuce. It's kind of fleshing out both guys, but it's really focusing on the I forget their names, but the more straight James
Yeah,
Franco,
Frankie.
the guy who's running the bar. So
Yep.
I think it's working so far, but jury's still out.
Yeah, there's only been a couple of times when I've felt like a little bit confused on which one's which, but for the
Yeah.
most part, like I think the way that the characters act and like the mannerisms that Franco has for each of them really distinguishes them very easily. Like Vinny is such more of like a sly, like cunning person, and Frank just seems more like a lost little puppy dog who's also really good at running bars, apparently.
Mhm.
Um, I think in the end, they're probably going to be the most tragic tale from this is the way it's kind of shaping up, where they're going to be like the people who are fronting this, and they're probably going to
Right.
take the biggest fall.
Well, you got the mob involved. You got other
Right.
factions involved. So yeah, it's kind of setting up for some conflict. The police is already being established. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And Frank in the beginning, I mean, just what's going on with his wife pretty much is already pretty sad.
Yep.
Um, also, I want to shout out Margarita Laviva. She's the college student who
Yes. Sure. Well, not for
she's
long.
she's really yeah no, but she's been like catching my eye every scene that she's in. She just is like electric to watch, and she hasn't even really had that much to do yet.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of guessing of where you think her character's going to go, given what the rest of the show is about. But yeah, I agree.
exactly.
Yeah, we said about Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think this also uh, pertains to a bunch of the other prostitutes you got to know. Is that it shows the agency of prostitutes? I mean, they're not
Mm-hmm.
just doing it because they just want to or they have nothing else to do. Like they all have
Right.
their reasons. And as they start learning about porn and like they start talking about like residuals and royalties basically, and
Yeah.
it's like they're not like dumb people, and I really like that. And even the relationship with their pimps, Cece in
Yeah.
particular is being really built up. And obviously it's not glorifying pimps, it's not making them out to be these totally great guys, but it's not totally, making them caricatures either. And I think that's a testament to Pelicanos and Simon's script writing, I mean,
Yeah.
and watching those relationships grow. And I assume they're going to, tail off, but it's awesome so far.
No, I agree. Actually, speaking of the relationships between the pimps and the prostitutes, Dominique Fishback's Darlene, the African American one, she's a really interesting character to watch, just because her relationship with I forgot who plays. I think it's Lawrence Gilliard plays her prostitute, or her sorry, not prostitute, her pimp.
Yeah,
but they're back and forth, as well as like just the way that it kind of seems like he's falling in love with her, but like obviously can't like cross those lines. I can't tell what's going on there, but it just feels like a very like interesting. Like they had that scene in the third episode where she was telling him how the regular just pays for her to watch movies with with him.
Right.
And he's like, which one did you watch? And they talk about Tale of Two Cities, and like they have like a very like sweet, genuine moment there. And then he drops the sunglasses. He's like, pick that up. And like, it just like goes back and forth so quickly, but like seeing like the soft side of those people, but then like how the roles push them into these other,
definitely.
Very interesting.
Shout out Method Man as
yeah, he's there's a scene where like the cops are like, everybody's going tonight. He's like, oh, and just like has that like perfect Method Man face. So, like, yes, he's great. Anything else about the Deuce that sticks out to you?
Yeah, so there's a lot of Simon alums in there, right? Dominic Fishback was in Show Me a Hero. I know there's a few Wire faces in there from what I've read. But yeah, definitely check this show out. It's only a miniseries. 4 episodes are out, 4 to go. If you like great writing, you like good acting, you like being transported to a world, yeah, there's a lot to like here. There's very little not to like, I think. So please check it out.
Yeah, it's a fun show. We'll be talking more about it as it draws to a close, depending on if anything major happens on it that's worth talking about, or maybe we'll just do like a season recap.
Yeah, right.
But why don't we jump into some music real quick? I want to start with this band I just kind of turned on to the other day. It's called Mount Kimbie. Now, apparently this is their 3rd album. I had never heard any of their work previous. It's an album called Love What Remains. These 2 are collaborating from Los Angeles and London. It's almost like a postal service type situation where they're sending tracks back and forth to each other. A lot easier now than when Ben Gibbard was doing it with the postal service. But these guys actually surprised me because this album is very like folk, but electronic at the same time. I don't know. So like to explain it, it's a very like soft album. Like think about,
like who would you compare it to? Like a combination of X and Y.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking of. What's fuck, I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who does Skinny Love, don't know. Vernon, he collaborates with Kanye, all that. Fuck, I can't really hear.
Bon Iver?
Yeah, Bon Iver. Vernon? Yes, I would say they're very like Bon Iver-ish, only like a little bit less electronic than them, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
And they use a lot of like small sounds. These guys produced a song on 444 for Jay-Z, and they produced Juke Jam off
nice.
Chance's
coloring book.
Yeah, coloring book. So they really pay attention to like very small sounds, and they have great buildups. They've used a full band. There's a really interesting group. I think if you don't really appreciate music, if you just really like hip hop for like the beat or just for like the words that are being said, you probably won't really enjoy these guys. But I think if you can enjoy like the full sound and like the intricacies of it, you'll really dig them. So Mount Kimbie, Love What Remains, check them out. But the album I was most surprised at, and I made myself listen to it, I was like, I'm just gonna check it out. Boogie Wit Da Hoodie, bigger artist.
Really?
I really enjoyed this album. Really enjoyed this album.
Interesting. Please explain.
So I had never really listened to him. The name sounded familiar, and then when I texted you about it, you said that this was an XSL freshman.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, maybe that's where I've heard the name before. This album went from, I mean, I don't think it was an amazing album by any stretch, but this is a debut album, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
For a debut album, this really grabbed me. Say A was an infectious song on my drive, and then slowly it just became more sexual, and by the end it was like I literally was like, Trey Songz has to be on this at some point, right? Like
what's
Chris
the song
Brown
with Chris Brown called? It's literally called
Fucking and Kissing.
Yeah.
Literally called Fucking and Kissing. I was like in my car, and I was like feeling somewhat embarrassed by how like these lyrics are going. It was making me all hot and bothered. But I mean, this guy, he really, I think the range he showed from going from a really fun song like that to something really sexual, I think that means that he'll have like durability to make different kinds of projects, which I think will make him have a longer lasting, different impact than most of the ones that have come out recently. But I'm wondering what you thought of him, because if I like it, I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's like this guy's actually whack like on the DL.
All right. Well, I mean, he's not whack. He's very popular. Let's start there. He has 2 gold singles from before this. His breakout song "My Shit's" platinum. That's a song that Drake became aware of and gave him a co-sign. Late 2015, early 2016, around then. And then a song from this album is a lead single called "Drowning" with Kodak Black. That's already platinum. That's his biggest song to date. That's it's in the top 50. It was in the top 50 at the Billboard chart earlier this year. So really big song for Boogie. And so like you say, he's an XXL freshman this year. He was one of the ones I predicted correctly. It's pretty obvious that his popularity would get him on the cover. And he also was on the Fast and Furious soundtrack. He has a song I really like called Horses with PNB Rock and Kodak, which is really good. That being said, I've never really gravitated towards him the way I've gravitated towards other new rappers, only because I haven't really been able to put him down. I don't think he really has that unique of a sound. He just he'll do some rapping, he'll do some singing. That's kind of what he does. I don't think there's a lot more going on. Ugly God is funny, and XXX is edgy, and Amine is really good, and Kamaya's got that Bay Area sound. But what does Boogie have? He's from New York, which is great. I like a New York rapper succeeding, but he doesn't sound like New York at all. So I don't think he's bad. He just has never really grabbed me. I listen to his popular songs, and I like My Shit. I think that's a good one, and Jungle's pretty good. But overall, I think he's not one of my favorites.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess if I had to really describe it, going from a song like Say A to Fucking and Kissing is almost like you went from Dram to
sure,
literally Chris Brown.
And
so I think if go ahead. I think if he can specify or start to mold more of what he actually wants to do and not be so broad, but start to focus it in a little bit more, he can actually probably be a pretty good artist in one of those lanes. But like you said, I think if he's going in between both, it probably doesn't bode well for him long term. Even though that contradicts exactly what I said, it would probably make him successful long term. So
he's only 21. It'd be fine. Yep.
Why don't we jump to this Hoodie Allen? So Dave, you saw Hoodie Allen at Siena College, right?
I did, yes. The Siena Fest after I graduated.
Was that All American?
What do you mean? All American was his debut EP that came out in 2012. I saw him in 2015.
So did he have another album by then?
Yeah, he had his debut album People Keep Talking by then. That was fall 2014. Okay. Then he January 2016 was Happy Camper, second album, and then This Is the Hype, his third album. So it's been about almost 2 years since his last project.
Yeah, I've been off Hoodie since pretty much All American. What did you think of the 2 albums preceding this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think People Keep Talking is really good. There's a lot of songs I really like on there. Showing What You're Made Of has a video. I like that one a lot. Movie's good. The song with Max, Don't Mind or Won't Mind. A lot of songs I like on there for sure. And then Happy Camper kind of had more of a mixtape vibe. There's a song called Surprise Party with Black Bear. That's really, really good. He's done a song or two with Kyle, recently before Kyle blew up. So yeah, I've always kind of been a fan of the career, but I'm a really big fan of this new album, The Hype. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it sounded good. It's hard for me to get past Hoodie's corniness at times. There was some lines. I'm gonna pull them up here, but on the final song, "Running in Circles," which I think my jaw literally dropped because I was what the fuck was that?
Yeah, he's a name dropper. His punchlines are always in that vein. But that's kind of what he does as a pop rapper too. So I'm not surprised. But yeah. Please go ahead.
I also think he tried some stuff which worked pretty well. You were texting a little bit about this song called "All My Friends" with State Champs, the pop punk band. Yeah,
they're from Albany. If you didn't know.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think U-Albany, one or two of them, maybe one of them's from Shen too. Yeah, no, they're a pretty big pop punk band in the country too. So that's cool.
I don't got it all figured out yet. I take it day to day, like my outfit. Hoodie.
Keep it Emily Blunt. Mama, I Did It.
Oh, yeah.
Bella and Gigi. He's got a lot of them like that.
Yeah, the Emily Blunt one was terrible.
But here's the thing too: is like as a pop rapper, that's what he's done. He's kind of like he's in his lane. I don't know. I just feel like he's very authentic in his sound and his bars. It's kind of what I come to expect. But he always makes funny songs, and I think what I really like about this album is that he has a lot of killer hooks on this. Like,
Yep.
Something Dangerous at the end. That hook is great.
Mhm.
And then my favorite song on the album, All of Me. He's got
Yep.
Scott Hoyning on the chorus. Love that. And
Yeah.
then even Play the Field, I enjoy a lot. All My Friends, obviously state champs, the pop punk crossover, I really dig. And then, funny enough, I think this kind of brings it all together. Fakin' featuring Wale. Wale is a guy who has a decent skill and decent body of work, but just constantly put down and made fun of because he's an easy punchline. And it's kind of like Hoodie. He's like, yeah, you can kind of make fun of him and find things to make fun of too. So I feel like they're a match made in heaven.
No, All For Me, going back to that, I immediately I got to a red light when I was listening to this, and I like immediately put it on the Nowstalgia best of, because I was like, this is the best song off this album, I guarantee it.
It's really good.
It is a really good song. Also, Sushi, like, weirdly enough, I didn't hate that song, and I thought I was gonna absolutely hate it, and I was like, you know what? That song actually stuck with me. So I think it's not a bad album. He's just his corniness just makes it difficult for me sometimes to get by it.
And last week we reviewed Macklemore's solo album Gemini, which is also in the pop rap vein. Obviously, they have different sounds, but that's still their genre. And I think Macklemore's lyrics were not strong on that album at all. But Macklemore also kind of just like pulled all these different sounds. Like he has the song "How to Play the Flute," which is literally like a Mask Off ripoff, right? He has that one feature that literally sounds like Chance. He's got Offset on Willy Wonka. Migo. Like Macklemore's pulling from all over the place, whereas Hoodie, I feel like, really knows his sounds and kind of threw a bunch of different hooks together. So yeah, I think as a pop rap album for a 100% independent rapper who's been in the game a while, it's a really strong release.
Absolutely. I actually was thinking, if you had told me after Macklemore won the Grammys that in a couple of years, Hoodie Allen would put out an album that I thought was better than Macklemore's, I'd probably be like, that there'd have to be a lot that would have to happen. And I actually think this album is better than Macklemore's Gemini.
Yeah. As we said last week, I think more effort was put into Hoodie's project. I mean, Macklemore said he banged this album out in like 6 weeks, so it makes sense. But yeah, Hoodie put a lot of time in this, and it really shows. And I think that's something he has to do because he's an independent rapper with a legion of fans. But he like him and G-Eazy kind of came up at the same time. But G-Eazy has since gone much more mainstream and was accepted by mainstream rap. He has a song with Cardi B and A$AP Rocky right now. Like Hoodie Allen never really got into like mainstream rap that much. He has a song with Kyle here and there, but so he has to really hone his craft and stay grinding. And I think that's what he did on this album.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Hoodie was probably better than Boogie With a Hoodie, but
I'm happy to hear that you liked A Boogie. That's cool. I mean, a lot of people like him. I don't disparage him. He's just not my favorite,
Right.
So, but I'm happy to hear that you were a fan of a new school rapper.
It's funny. I've started to think about like the end of year list that we're gonna have to put together, and obviously, like
it's already coming up.
Yeah, movies is gonna be tough because I feel like movies, they always stack up at the end of the year. So probably within the next like a month and a half or so, that list will be changing a lot.
I got a whole list of them already that I know we're gonna be in the conversation. So we'll be talking about a bunch of those soon. Stay tuned.
But I feel like, upcoming for a lot of this stuff, like other than Taylor Swift, there's no like huge, other than maybe Sam Smith on the horizon as well for albums. And for TV, there's Mr. Robot. But after that, I mean, are there any other big shows that are planned to come out that I can think of?
Yeah. I mean, I know The Punisher's coming out, so it looks awesome, but that wouldn't crack our top 10, but that's notable.
Okay.
Most we did our fall preview, which you can catch at SoundCloud.com/NowstalgiaPod and on YouTube. Most of our fall preview shows already started,
right?
So, I don't think anything else is going to sneak up on us.
Yeah, so I mean, it's looking like
Stranger Things. We forgot Stranger Things.
Right, Stranger Things. So it's looking like for TV and music, things might already be shaping out to like what the end of the year list is going to look like. I mean, there will be some unexpected albums, I'm sure, that might make a run.
Yeah.
movies.
Remember, Run the Jewels 3 dropped on like December 26th, really helping out all our lists.
Right. Also, they dropped a single this past Friday, and I'm wondering, do you think that they're going to be like dropping another album? I'd be kind of surprised, but
I thought that I want to say that was in promotion with something or some kind of soundtrack. I don't think that was just a straight up song.
Let me see. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah.
So it's Mean Demeanor from. I don't know. It just says Mean Demeanor, Run the Jewels.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it's funny. I think some lists, some outlets will have Run the Jewels this year because they already published their list. I think, like second week of December. So Run the Jewels 3 is effectively a 2017 album. And I think that actually would apply to us too. We put our stuff out before it came out. So I think it's only fair to consider Run the Jewels 3.
They will be on my list in some respect.
Yeah, definitely. It's their best album. Really good.
Yeah. What else? What do we got coming up next week? We got Blade Runner.
Yep. There's no real music coming out. I mean, if the date holds, the Rob Stone debut album be out. So I'll comment on that if that's worth checking out. So yeah, Blade Runner is our really only big October movie. The next big stuff in November is Thor Ragnarok, Murder on the Orient Express, and Justice League. So lull again as Oscar stuff starts gearing up. So we have a lot of like news industry threads that I've been saving. So we'll talk a lot about that stuff next week if we have some time to fill.
All right, cool. We'll be talking a lot of that stuff and Blade Runner. I'm really excited about. We'll wrap up there. We didn't get to say it earlier, but please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever. You can get a link to that at soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod and check out some of our older pods as well. We will be gearing up for the end of the year here soon enough. And man, crazy that 2017 is almost in the books, or at least winding down there.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want to follow Dave at Martin Swagger, if you want to follow me at Sheeny World Peace, and if you want to follow the show at Nowstalgia Pod on Twitter, we like to tweet. Dave, I saw you had some good tweets over the weekend. I was following some of it. Something about video games, Destiny. You were like, I'm out.
Oh yeah, no, I Destiny 2 came out in beginning of September, back when I was in London. One of the biggest games of the year, big game kicking off the fall game season. And Destiny's a game, just to be brief, where after a certain point, you need to like really grind and keep playing and repeating stuff to get yourself strong enough to do the best part of the game called the raid. And I enjoyed my time at the game, but I don't think I want to invest grind anymore. So because I got more games coming up and I got all this TV to watch.
You don't got time.
Movies. I don't got time. Like I envy all my friends that are just gamers. Like I know, I have a lot of internet friends that are just, like really big in gaming. That's all they're really focused on. I'm like, wow, what is that like?
Right.
Because I follow everything. Unfortunately, I'm too obsessive. So,
well, we like we said, if you want us to be talking about stuff, please tweet at us, leave us a iTunes rating and review, share us with friends, and R.I.P. Tom Petty. Go back and listen to some of those Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker albums. You won't regret it. Damn, what a fucking day. For sure. I'm ready for it to be over. But Nowstalgia Pod, hopefully bringing you some relief from the difficult things going on. We love you. Stay safe out there. See you next week.